Why?
I don't know, man. It's been a rough couple of days for me.
For you?
Yeah, look, I know how messed up this sounds, but it's hard to see you doing so great. I guess I always kind of liked that I was doing better than you before.
I've discussed a lot of regular show, and one of the most reoccurring things that I will hear is that Mordecai used to be a lot of people's favorite characters. He was presented very well in the first few seasons, but as time went on, that dwindled more and more until eventually he was one of the audience's least favorite characters. But how did this happen? Was it bad writing? Was it a horrible character arc? Did he just become a loser? Well, I've made 3 videos that are some of the best on my channel: Why I Hate Margaret, CJ Deserved Better, and the toxicity of Mordecai and Rigby's friendship. And in those 3 videos, Mordecai is the cause of the majority of the problems. So that's what I'm going to be exploring today, and finally giving you the Mordecai rant video. And if you like content just like this, please make sure to like and subscribe. I upload 6 times a week, and at 30k I'm going to be cosplaying as Muscle Man and doing a hot dog eating contest. And if you want a place where you could talk about your favorite cartoons, movies, games, shows, give me video ideas, share art, share your pets, there's a gaming channel in there. It's just a great place to hang out. My Discord will be in the description. Now let's discuss the downfall of Mordecai. Towards the beginning of regular show in season 1, Mordecai truly felt like the main character of the show, and it would kind of stay like that all the way up until season 6, where Mordecai was getting the majority of the screen time. The majority of the episodes were revolving around him, and if it wasn't, it was usually about how Rigby was screwing it up royally for Mordecai. Look at episodes like Just Set Up the Chairs, where Rigby is just presented as kind of a slacker in this episode, and Mordecai is presented as the straight man who wants to get his work done so that he could prove Benson wrong. They're both struggling with this, but it still feels like it's kind of through Mordecai's perspective. And even as the show goes on, the episode goes on, you see that the show presents Mordecai in a much cooler way than Rigby, especially when they eventually get in this arcade machine room. It's honestly a very cool scene. It's one of my favorite moments in this episode, where they're just playing all these old-timey arcade machines, and Mordecai's just going like, oh, 10 in a row! He's just having a great time. It makes Rigby feel like less of a person compared to Mordecai. It makes you feel like you're supposed to look up to Mordecai a little bit more than Rigby, and this is especially more evident in the episode later when Rigby is the one who completely ignores the note and releases the Destroyer of Worlds.
I don't know, he could be cool.
Oh man, we're so dead.
Maybe no one will notice.
And then you have Mordecai's awesome heroic moment where he goes to save the chairs, and yes, the episode does end with Rigby saving the day through button mashing, but still, Mordecai does feel like more of the main character, and it's clearly evident even in season 1. And then if you go to episodes like Free Cake, this just path continues where Rigby is still viewed as less of a character and just a problem causer, because the episode, they both want that free cake, but Mordecai is the one who's able to hold it together and stop Rigby, especially in the forest, from eating that chocolate cake. It's a really painful scene where you have to watch Rigby try to just struggle to eat this cake no matter what, and then Rigby is the one who is also stopping Skips from completing his ritual, and then when Skips is on the ground literally dying, Mordecai is the one who makes the deal with the babies and is willing to get Skips back, even when Rigby doesn't want to, because he'd rather eat chocolate cake than, you know, have his friend live.
Mordecai, what are you doing?
Dude, do you want Skips to die on his birthday?
All right.
It's just a horrible scene, and this just continues with more stuff in season 1, where we go to the episode Meet Your Maker with just a great example of this, of just how dumb Rigby can be, but still, Mordecai is playing that straight man role, the person that you're supposed to relate to a lot more in a lot of these situations, because Rigby lies to Mordecai, all of the hot dogs go up a blaze, they just all go afire, and then they fall into a river.
Okay, dude, I think that's good.
What?
And then Mordecai has to learn the horrible truth that Benson didn't even say that they could grill the hot dogs, which leads to them going into the freezer. Rigby's trying to fix everything the entire episode. He hits a drumstick into the AC control, which is going to freeze them all to death.
What are you doing with that drumstick?
He becomes a Rig boner.
Margaret.
He's just trying to do everything he can, and he eventually finds these hot dogs, and they're alive, they want to be eaten, and so he thinks he could fix it for Mordecai, and he ends up making everything worse.
Now! What the heck are those?
Now, it could definitely just be said that Mordecai and Rigby are both the main characters of these episodes, but it doesn't change the fact that Mordecai is presented in a much better way than Rigby. That's why anytime I'm making a video about Rigby, I say I love his arc so much, because even though in season 1 through 3, he was just a little runty-ass, dumbass bitch and would just cause so many different problems for so many different people, he eventually becomes a good person. Mordecai kind of has the opposite effect. In the beginning seasons, he was presented as one of the coolest characters in the show, always doing better than Rigby, always being smarter than Rigby, always being the one to help solve the majority of the problems, while Rigby was just making things worse, or out of sheer luck, Rigby would be the one to fix it. But Mordecai definitely wasn't perfect. He had his faults, and although that wasn't really being shown in season 1, as the show progresses and as there's more focus on his relationship, more focus on the fact that Mordecai thinks that he's better than Rigby, then Mordecai slowly but surely becomes more of a fractured character. For a long time, he's still presented as being better than Rigby, but for a little episode here and there, he's slowly starting to show that he isn't as good of a person as season 1 made us believe. One of the first episodes that truly highlights a major flaw in Mordecai's character is in the episode More Smarter. It's already very apparent that Mordecai is smarter than Rigby, that he could solve more things than Rigby, and that he's overall just morally probably a better person than Rigby, but is that true? Because in the episode More Smarter, there is a food truck coming around that's given free burgers for high school graduates. What a great thing to do! But this is when, in the episode, Mordecai begins to make fun of Rigby just non-stop, because Rigby doesn't have a high school diploma. And that is where we get Mordecai's first fault.
Our friendship wouldn't work if we're both smart.
What? What are you talking about? We're both the same amount of smart as each other.
No, you're not.
He loves to be better than Rigby. He loves that fact. He adores that he will always have this one-up on Rigby, and throughout the episode, you could see that he cannot handle the fact that Rigby could ever be on his level, because when Rigby just can't take it anymore, he can't take the bullying, all he wanted was a free burger, he drinks the More Smarter juice. He drinks it, and, or I think it's called Brain Max, actually. He drinks that, and it makes him incredibly smart. And Mordecai, upon seeing that Rigby might be a little bit smart, he has to drink it too. He cannot allow Rigby to ever be smarter than him, and it leads to an entire just brawl of intelligence where they're just throwing insults at each other, just non-stop, and Mordecai has the one-up thing that he has that Rigby hasn't graduated high school. And that is the one-up, that's just the one-up that he will always have.
You don't have a high school diploma, so I'm smarter than you. You imbecile.
All the way until season 7, and that's when we explore this entire dynamic of Mordecai wanting to be better than Rigby above all else again. But still, this is the first time that we see that, and it's the first time that we can clearly see that Mordecai loves to be better than Rigby. And if you go to episodes like Butt Dial, we tackle a different kind of flaw in Mordecai's character, where he is just kind of over dramatic when it comes to relationships, to a fault. Like, it's really bad to watch, and when you spend so much time, you have this overexposure of all of these different moments for Mordecai to just be like, what did I do? Oh my god, Margaret! Margaret, can you market my bad guy and touch me, please? That's the majority of what Mordecai does for the first 4 seasons, and it honestly continues for the entire show, is Mordecai's relationship drama. And in the episode Butt Dial, we see the first time that he will truly overreact, where he accidentally sends a voicemail to Margaret singing a song, "Hanging with Margaret just to feel so good, like I knew it would. Laughing together and having a blast, and I hope it lasts forever."
I can't believe how hot she is. Makes my insides feel like knotted twists. Her pretty face and those long, long legs. And
yeah, he's just singing a song about how in love with her he is, how much he wants her, and he starts freaking out. And it's okay to freak out about those things. If I send something like that to somebody that I wouldn't want that to hear, then yeah, I'd probably freak out a little bit. it's pretty rational to freak out, but it's everything that he does after that. He goes to the coffee shop, he tries to steal and destroy Margaret's phone, he tries to go to the house and he tries to break into her phone at all costs, and he eventually gets sucked into the phone, where he just tries to say that this has to be done, she can't hear it no matter what, and she eventually does, and she takes it a lot more lightly than he ever expected, because he overreacts. This could have been a moment where Mordecai was able to learn a little bit something about Margaret, about himself, maybe not to take things so seriously, but it's a common theme for Mordecai to just completely ignore any moment of thinking when it comes to relationships and just keep on doing the same thing over and over, in which he just is a horrible person. This is a very common theme when it comes to his romance life. It is just a reoccurring theme that if it's going to be a relationship episode for Mordecai, he is usually going to mess it up. He actually doesn't get it right all the way until season 5, so for the majority of these episodes, we just have an overexposure to Mordecai messing up over and over and over again, and it doesn't really ever seem like it's going to stop. Even when he eventually does get with Margaret, it kind of stops, but only for like 5 episodes, because then he gets broken up with, which kind of paints Mordecai a little bit like a loser, somebody who is used a little bit, but at the same time, when he's an adult male, when he's 24 or 25 at this time, it's really hard to continue to resonate with his character, and a lot of the audience probably was leaning more towards Rigby being their chosen character to like and adore more, compared to Mordecai when you see him just constantly messing up over and over and over again with his relationships. Now, even though before season 5, I do think it's a decent enough story, it's what happens after that that truly kind of makes Mordecai seem like so much worse of a character, because before season 5, I would say the story is told decently well. Mordecai is chasing after this girl that's a shallow romantic interest, he doesn't know enough about her, so he doesn't realize that she will pick school over him, and that eventually does happen, and so he's left heartbroken. It's a decent enough story, and if it ended right there, I would say it's still a fairly good part of regular show, but it's what happens after that that kind of begins to ruin Mordecai's character and actually makes him, instead of just being flawed, a bad character, because going into season 5, we have the first episode, Laundry Woes, where he spends the entire beginning of that episode just for weeks being so sad about Margaret not wanting to go out, and all of his buddies just help him rationalize and become his old self. But at just one moment of weakness, he sees Margaret's sweater, and just being Mordecai, he has to just, oh my god. Oh, is that back when Margaret was Margetting me?
Don't do it!
Yeah, he loses his mind, he has to bring this sweater back to Margaret no matter what, and this is where you could truly pinpoint a moment where Rigby is becoming more of the main character than Mordecai. He is truly becoming a character that you could rely on and a much better person, where Rigby tags along with Mordecai, who Mordecai is on this just dead set journey of driving 4 hours or 20 hours, however many hours, all the way to her university just to try to give the sweater back, and Rigby is doing everything he possibly can to stop Mordecai. Eventually singing a song about how he's not fine, about how he's been driving all of this time, and how giving her sweater back won't do anything but put him right back in that place that he was, and Mordecai doesn't listen. So much so that he pushes Rigby out of the car and goes to do it anyway.
You'd realize that if you weren't such a sad sack chump.
That's it.
He eventually does come to his senses, but these are just the major cracks in Mordecai's shell that just keep getting worse and worse over time, that he's not actually a very good person. And he's kind of always been like this, it's just when he actually got what he wanted and then lost it, it begins to show a lot more. This is very apparent when we go to episodes like I Like You High, where in season 5, Mordecai had been hanging out with CJ quite a lot. But in this episode, he is just raw with the fact that he accidentally sent her I Like You High. He's probably 26 at this point in the series. He's freaking out.
No, cancel. Oh.
But he doesn't know what to do because he accidentally sent I Like You High instead of being a rational person and just saying, oopsie. Didn't mean to send that. He freaks out so much so that he eventually spam texts her, which makes him go into the secret dimension with all the Guardians of Secrets again. And Mordecai, he has to confront his past feelings for Margaret, because everybody confronts him because he starts swimming away. He comes back and he says the reason he doesn't want to date CJ is because part of him is still waiting for Margaret to come back. How can it be fair to CJ if he's still waiting for Margaret, if he still has feelings for Margaret?
CJ, she's amazing. But is it fair for me to go out with her if I still think about Margaret sometimes?
And this should have been a great moment in the show where Mordecai has that realization that he shouldn't date CJ if he still has these feelings for Margaret. Then how is that fair? But everybody tells him otherwise, which I also think was kind of dumb. Everybody just kind of says, well, Margaret sucks, dude. Well, that may be true. Margaret is not a very good character, but to Mordecai, she is everything. But Mordecai listens to this. He pretends for a minute that he doesn't like Margaret, but he never confronted those feelings. He never got the closure he needed, and it never went away, which leads to Mordecai truly becoming more of a villain, not necessarily all his fault, but he just drags down another person with him, even though a part of him knew that he shouldn't be with this person. Because he does get with CJ. He dates CJ, and it's one of my favorite parts of season 5. I think they do so much good together. They have such a good arc together where they have their first real date, where they actually just go out, they're both trying to give each other desserts. It's a really good episode, and it was great to see Mordecai actually moving forward with his life and actually finding this person. Max and Relaxin, they both help each other become better people. Daddy issues, they both help each other become better people. It feels like their relationship is actually blossoming into something very good, which makes what happens next so much worse. But before we get there, we have to talk about Lift With Your Back, where Mordecai and CJ have been dating for a very long time now, so much so that they're hanging out all the time. And throughout all of season 5 and a little bit of season 4, the audience has been resonating with Rigby a little bit more, even though Mordecai is still getting so much more screen time than him. Rigby just seems like more of the straight man to all of Mordecai's nonsense. And in Lift With Your Back, we get to see this with the beginning of the episode, where Rigby is the one who is doing all of the work, covering for Mordecai at every single turn.
Hey, can you cover for me so we can go hang out?
Sure, man.
Cool.
Double-fisted.
He's doing so much just to help Mordecai, and then when the time comes, when it's push come to shove, and Benson is saying that Rigby is useless, that he can't do anything on his own, well, Mordecai just agrees. He says, yeah, you're my friend. You're useless. You can't do anything. You wouldn't have gotten this job without me. It's the least you could do covering for me.
Come on, Mordecai, tell him how useful I am.
Yeah, I mean, you're fun.
What? No, tell him I'm useful.
Yeah, you're my friend.
And Rigby quits, and he goes on his own emotional journey of becoming a better person, a stronger person. And Mordecai, I feel like he never still viewed Rigby as somebody who could do things on his own, because he still has that idea that he is better than Rigby. I feel like that's the reason he didn't notice any of Rigby's changes in becoming a better person. It's still because Mordecai, even though he's going through all this relationship drama all the time, he still thinks he's much better than Rigby. And if he took a moment to actually notice his friend, he would see that Rigby has been becoming better than him slowly but surely. And then we get to the episode Merry Christmas, Mordecai, where we're confronted with all of Mordecai's past in just one episode, where Margaret comes back into town. Again, Mordecai just is like, He runs into Margaret at the post office. He's unable to talk to her. He goes to the Christmas party where he's just avoiding Margaret for so long because he can't confront or talk to his ex for even 2 minutes to just, maybe get that closure, maybe have an adult conversation and move forward with his character. The one time CJ decides to go to the bathroom and Mordecai is left alone in that small amount of time, he kisses Margaret.
No.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't mean to do
really
that.
wasn't. Mordecai?
And it's a horrible scene because it just makes all of his feelings just come right back, and it makes the audience hate him so much. A character in season 1 that you would look up to, that you would think is the straight man, that's the cool guy, that is doing everything right usually, now just cheated on his girlfriend, and there's really no coming back from that. I mean, it would be one thing if he went on to have some great character change, some great character moment, a moment of reflection, but he really doesn't. He doesn't have anything like that. It's just this one moment that will always be a part of Mordecai's character that just ruined him, because he never has a moment where he truly seems to feel bad about it. And then after this, I feel like they tried to redeem Mordecai's character in so many different ways, trying to make it feel realistic to what a real romance would actually be, all the troubles with that, but still trying to make Mordecai seem like he is a good character going through a good journey, but they just failed at that so many times, with Sad Sacks being one of the worst episodes in the entire series, where Mordecai, instead of just confronting his entire feelings and saying that he messed up, which he does at the beginning, but he doesn't really understand what he did to her. He doesn't understand how bad this truly is, and when CJ just doesn't have any trust with him, he still tries to get her back in a bunch of really stupid ways, like pretending he's hit by a bus, just doing everything he can, and eventually, at the end of the episode, I was truly hoping that CJ would just say, I don't think we could be together, but CJ gives Mordecai another chance.
But Margaret and I are over now. I understand if you hate my guts, but I hope you know that I don't want to be with anybody but you.
They get back together. And you would think Mordecai, being on thin ice, being, just given a second chance with a woman that he truly cares about, he would cherish this so much. But it doesn't work like that. Because Mordecai, he knows he's on thin ice. He knows he just cheated on his girlfriend. He needs to do something right. And yes, in a relationship, you should have the freedom to go out and do things. But he should also know how something is going to make his significant other feel, especially when he just did something so horrible to her. That's why we get to the episode 1000 Chopper Flight Party, and why it is one of my least favorite episodes is because Mordecai, he shouldn't really be there in the first place. He just cheated with this girl. He just cheated with Margaret, and he's going to a house party without his girlfriend to have fun and hang out with the family. You can miss one party, man. You could miss one party, especially because this just happened. It could be fine. You could call Frank and you could give him a congratulatory phone call, but you're on thin ice, man, and you know how this will make you feel. CJ was really stand up about it and let Mordecai go anyway, saying to go and have fun. That's good. That's great that they could have that trust. But then Mordecai being there, he should have that willpower to be able to refuse certain things. And when he goes up into the helicopter with Margaret, he should have had the willpower to say no and not do that because he knew CJ was coming and he knew how it would make her feel. Because he has this moment when he's laughing up in the helicopter with Margaret and he sees CJ and he starts to immediately unbuckle, freak out, and want to get down.
I can't be here. I gotta hang with CJ. CJ! Hi!
The episode paints CJ as being the villain in this moment because she gets angry, she freaks out, but Mordecai knew she would react that way. And it's honestly fair for her to react that way because she just got cheated on. If CJ wasn't that kind of person that would freak out, that would become a giant cloud, and she just got angry and screamed and just drove off, then everybody would be a lot more on CJ's side. But because she has that power, CJ is now portrayed as a villain. But because of Mordecai's instant just seeing her and freaking out and having to buckle and wanting to get down, he knew that him getting in this helicopter would cause problems, and he should have refused it even if there was a lot of peer pressure. He should have been an adult, but he didn't do that, and that caused problems for CJ, and now the audience will always view CJ as some part of the problem, which just sucks, because I think it's a very rational thing to get very angry when you see the guy that you're in love with, who just cheated on this person, with this person, and they're just up in a helicopter alone together laughing, having a great time. It's just not a very good look. I don't understand why this episode had to exist in the first place, other than making CJ look like a bad person, and honestly just making Mordecai look worse. And then we get to one of the most infamous episodes for Mordecai, Dumped at the Altar. An episode where Mordecai is very confused because he has a very attractive woman love him and another very attractive woman want to be with him. Wow, so many troubles. Who are you going to pick? The girl that you dated for 5 days who left you for school and then came back into your life and has just made every single thing worse for you since? Or are you going to date the girl that has been with you, has stuck by you, that helped you form a better bond with your mother, that you helped form a better bond with her father, that has been nothing but caring, that has given you multiple second chances? Who are you going to pick, Mordecai? It is such a struggle. Well, I can tell you what he's going to do. He's going to sit there, read a beautiful note from Muscle Man's father for Muscle Man, and then hijack his entire wedding and just spew a bunch of nonsense about, oh, who's the right person for me? Is it that old man? Is it that old woman? Is it Benson? Is it Rigby? Oh, I just don't know who my soulmate is. In the most break-up sounding speech ever.
So where's my soulmate? Are they in this room? It could be anyone. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's that really old lady. I don't know.
Why are you talking?
He eventually gets to CJ, and the majority of the audience thinks that he was going to say, CJ, I love you, girl. But we really don't know. I'm not sure what Mordecai was going to do entirely. I don't think it's been said. I'm pretty sure he was going to tell CJ that he loves her in the most breakup way possible, but this is the end of Mordecai's entire relationship with CJ. And it was also a major turning point for Mordecai. I guarantee you the majority of the audience, they had their things to say about Mordecai. Maybe they were slightly defending him, but after Dumped at the Altar, there was really no defending this cringe fest. He definitely went from being a cool character to a absolute loser in this moment. There was just no redeeming that. It just was such a horrible moment, and still, none of his character has been redeemed for the horrible things that he has done to CJ, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to get better. Because then you go to the episode Just Friends, which is supposed to be the big finale, the big conclusion to Mordecai's arc, to his relationship, and it just doesn't feel like that. Yes, Mordecai has the realization that he should take it easy on relationships right now and not date anybody, but that should be a very easy realization for you to have, especially because you just broke up with your girlfriend, the girl that you're maybe considering dating, you just cheated on her with, nothing good came from it for months on end, it was just suffering, she was lying to your significant other, she was lying to you, it just wasn't good. Why would you want to date anybody right now? That shouldn't be the moment of closure, the finale for Mordecai's entire arc with all of this relationship drama, and the reason I'm talking about all of this relationship drama, it's because there were so many Mordecai episodes from season 5 all through season 6. It was the majority of the seasons were focusing on Mordecai and his love life, and it just never got better. None of it was good, and it could have been such a good story if at the end of it, at Just Friends, Mordecai had a moment where he apologized to Margaret, where he went out, he sought out CJ with no intention of getting back with her, just to genuinely apologize for everything that he put her through. It could have been just like in that episode of Adventure Time where Finn truly hurt Flame Princess, and just seasons go on, and all the way in season 9, Finn actually grows up and apologizes for that. That's why I love that entire arc. That's why I think it was all worth it. Mordecai never has that. He never has this moment of closure. He never has this moment of thought where it actually impacts his character in a good way. So after we go through all of this relationship nonsense, Mordecai looks worse. Even though he has stayed the exact same, he looks so much worse because he put so many different people through so much torment, all for his own gain, and never had a moment of reflection where he becomes a better person. There isn't a moment like that. And that's why Mordecai's character, just coming out of all of those relationships, just seems so much worse. Now, there is one more episode that I truly need to discuss on the terms of a downfall when it comes to Mordecai's character, and that is Rigby's graduation day special. Remember when I was talking about More Smarter and how Mordecai truly loves being better than Rigby? Well, 6 seasons later, even through all of Rigby's growth, even through all of Rigby becoming a better person, becoming a good boyfriend, becoming a person that is willing to go through the extra length of just being there for you, Rigby was there for him throughout his entire relationship, covering for him, doing things for him, helping him out, giving him advice. Rigby was there for him. Mordecai still wants to be better than Rigby, and it's truly more about himself, but the way he goes about it just isn't very good, because in Rigby's graduation day special, Mordecai is being such a dick to Rigby throughout the entire episode, throughout one of Rigby's greatest days of his life. He finally did it. He went back to high school. It's supposed to be a momentous occasion, and Mordecai just absolutely hates this fact, because he can't believe that he stayed the same throughout his entire time at the park. Throughout all of these years, he stayed the exact same, and Rigby is the one who is becoming a better person.
But it's hard to see you doing so great. I guess I always kind of liked that I was doing better than you before.
That does sound really messed up.
But his apology for that doesn't even feel good at the end, because they're just having that moment, they're having that sit down where they're talking, and Mordecai is all like, oh, this is going to sound messed up, but I kind of liked always being better than you, and his sentence right after that is, but I realized that I should be happy for you, you're graduating high school, man.
I know. But when I heard you embarrassing yourself out there, I realized how unfair I was being. I think it's awesome that you've worked so hard to get here.
That's stupid. That is such a stupid phrase, such a stupid way of looking at it, and I hate it. And there would have been such an easy writing fix, a great way to actually tie in the movie with this series, where they could have said that it was all about Rigby's graduation or Rigby's fraud letter or whatever. God, a rejection letter. Rigby's rejection letter when Mordecai was trying to get into college university and he faked that. Mordecai could have easily said that you held me back, and I feel like all of my faults, all of my struggles in life have been because I didn't have that choice to go to college, and it's your fault. Even if I would have went or not, it's all your fault. It would have been much more rational for Mordecai at that point in the series to be angry about that, but that wasn't the case. Mordecai was just mad because he wasn't better than Rigby anymore. And Rigby is just okay with that. And that's why I kind of hate it. There's just nothing really enjoyable about seeing a main character who I just had to watch for seasons struggle with romance while Rigby was becoming a better person now hate Rigby, even though Rigby was always trying to help him. It just doesn't feel good. And even though it's more about Mordecai than Rigby, Mordecai just wishes that he did more for himself, that he would go out for himself, that he would try to do things for himself. Even though it's more about Mordecai, it still is a very horrible way of showing that, and his apology for being a dick that entire episode just doesn't feel very real to me. It just feels like Mordecai heard Rigby bombing and then was like, oh man, Rigby just got embarrassed on national television, maybe I should help him out. It doesn't feel good. It just makes Mordecai look like more of a loser and more of a less interesting character. We're 7 seasons in, and Mordecai hasn't felt redeemed. He doesn't even have an actual character arc. All of the setups for his character arc have just fallen through, and there is no moment of character change. So with that, those are the majority of the episodes where Mordecai is a bad person. I left out some of them because there are a lot of episodes where Mordecai keeps messing up over and over again. But I think the true problem with his character was an overexposure issue. He had so many different episodes focusing on him and his relationships that by the time you actually got to the end of it, you had seen so much of Mordecai just struggling over and over and over again that you were just sick of it, first of all. And for the fact that it didn't actually have a conclusion, it didn't have a moment where Mordecai truly felt like a new person, just makes this so much worse. He's a character that stays the same, and for what? There's a character like Pops who stays the exact same, but for a very good reason, so that by the time we get to the finale and his sacrifice, he stayed true to himself. But Mordecai had no reason to stay true to himself because he was already a bad person. He was just portrayed really well in the first few seasons because Rigby was so horrible. But as it goes on, and Rigby's just going up, Mordecai is just staying like this, and that helps the audience to see that he is so much worse. A lot of people hate how Mordecai regressed as a character, but that's just not true. He didn't regress. He stayed the same. A lot of people have discussed that. A lot of people have made videos on that about how Mordecai was always a loser. Mordecai was always this. Mordecai was always that. He was always just a stupid character. And that's true. He stays the exact same, so much so that it appears like a regression because he just keeps messing up over and over and over again, never having a moment of clarity, never having a moment where he actually feels like a better character. And by the time we get all the way to season 7, when he's being a dick to Rigby, it just feels like you're adding on another thing. Because we already had to deal with all the romance drama, already had to deal with Lift With Your Back, where he's being a bad friend, a unsupportive friend, and then we get here, where again he's being a truly unsupportive friend, but for all the wrong reasons, just taking out his inner conflicts, his inner struggles, just to take it out on Rigby. When Rigby is finally becoming a better person, it's just another tally and why Mordecai isn't that good of a friend, isn't that good of a person, and is a bad character. It's why going into season 8, he has no moments where he's like seeking a relationship. He has no moments where he's being a bad friend to Rigby. He's always just being there, always being supportive, always just trying to help out the situation. There's one moment in the episode Stuck in an Elevator where he is kind of, just down, depressed, but it's more of a look into his character on how he feels in space. Other than that, he's just the same old Mordecai the entire time, just having a great time. He feels like season 3 Mordecai. It's because they knew that there was no character arc, that there was no positive change for him. Rigby still feels like a good person in season 8. Everybody still feels like their classic, selves in season 8, their developed selves where they went through this awesome character arc. Mordecai is just reverted back to how he used to act because he was so unbelievably horrible in those past few seasons, and there was truly no redeeming him. I hope the lost tapes can fill in some blanks, and maybe we'll get an episode where Mordecai has a little bit of a redemption or character arc, a mini arc or something, because, man, Mordecai truly did have such a downfall.